So I was trying to basically say, how do you compute material cost variance? We say that to compute material cost, you need to get the standard cost minus actual cost. And I say that for you to get the standard cost, it is got by standard quantity, okay? This time for actual output times standard price, okay? That would give me my standard cost. Then minus the actual cost. And how do I get the actual cost? To get the actual cost, I need to get the actual quantity times actual price. Actual price. Now, so meaning that if I look at this scenario that I've been given, and I want to compute my variance here, I have two raw materials, X and also Y, and I'm going to compute for each. So I have for X, I also have for Y. For Y. Now the standard quantity for actual output for X, I will just come here, my standard quantity for X. I don't know whether you are following. For X, because these are the actual results, and the standard results are here. You can just take this scenario to all of it to another page. For X, it is given as what? 80 units. This is the standard. But I want for actual output. So meaning that I will multiply these 80 units by the actual output. So I'll get 80 units. Units I multiply by what? 80 units multiply by the standard price, by the actual output. Actual output is given as 2,000 kilograms. So I multiply this by 2,000 kgs. Okay. Then I multiply by the standard price, which is standard price is given as what? Standard price is given as 60 for X. So I multiply by 60 shillings. Then I subtract standard cost, rather the actual cost, which is got by actual quantity, AQ, times actual price. So meaning that I will have actual quantity. So what is the actual quantity? Can you give me the figures so that I see whether you people are following?
I think it's 160,000.
The actual quantity is 160,000 units. The actual quantity of raw materials used. Then you multiply by the actual price. So the actual price is what? 80 shillings. Okay. So then you get the variance for X. Then I also do the same for Y. Before I go, I can get, so when I get this times 60, what do I get here? What is the standard cost?
9.6.
Huh?
9.6.
9.6. Then I subtract the one for the actual cost. 160. It is
12.8.
4.8.
12.8.
12.8. So what do you see here? Ideally, you realize that the actual cost is greater than the standard. So what is the difference? What is the variance? What is the variance?
3.2.
3.2. 3.2. And this variance is adverse. And now I told you if it is adverse, that is how you write it. Okay. So I go and look at that of Y. I'll also do the same. Okay. Now, for Y, I will have the standard quantity for actual output. I go here, Y, it is 120 units. I will multiply this by 50. No, but not by 50, but by the actual output. Then I multiply by 50. So 120 units. So here it is 120 times the actual output, which is 2,000 kgs. Then I multiply by the standard price, which is 50 shillings. Then minus. Minus what? The actual quantity.
180 times 65.
180 times 65. That gives me, what do I get here? What do you get? 120 times 2,000 times 50. Let me have somebody to give me the figure. Class participation, very, very key. You earn yourself.
12 million.
Hmm?
12 million.
12 million. Then I subtract. What do I have here? What is my actual cost?
11,700.
11.7. So, what do I have? In other words, what is my variance for material Y?
300,000.
300.
300,000. And when you look at this, you realize that this variance is favorable. I would denote it with the letter F. You know why it is favorable? Can you give me the reason?
Because it's a positive.
That cannot be justification. You cannot use that just as a justification that because it's a positive. Because you are going to compare your actual cost is less than the standard what? Cost. You had planned to incur 12 million, but you've actually incurred 11.7, meaning that you made a saving of 300. So mean that if I add up the two, my total material cost variance would be what? So I will add the two, 3.2 plus 300. That gives me 2 point, 2 point what?
3.5.
Can't be 3.5.
Hmm?
Can't be 3.5.
2.9.
2.9, and it is adverse. So I think all of you have seen that. Is it okay?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I sent you a question message.
Mm. You said what? I don't. When I am presenting, I don't really read the chats. What you send on the chat, because that means I will have to go here and there. That was the why have you multiplied 20,000 by 80,000 by 80 by 60? I thought we were doing it this way: 80 times 60 minus 160. No, here we need the standard, that's why I'm saying I need the standard quantity for actual output. And you see the actual output was 2,000. That's why I'm multiplying by 2,000 kilograms. So this is the actual output which is given here. The actual output is 2,000. And then how do I get my standard quantity for actual output? Get the standard quantity in units, multiply by the actual output. So that you get your standard quantity for actual output. So the next is material price, variance, MPV. Okay. We say that to get MPV, what is the formula? Can you tell me the formula for MPV?
Material price variance equals to actual quantity, open brackets, standard price minus actual price.
Which network is that one? Are you in Buguju? Like I see somebody saying actual quantity. Into what?
It is standard price minus actual price into actual quantity, everything in brackets.
SP minus AP. SP minus AP. So I have material X, then I also have material Y. Okay. So the actual quantity for material X is what? Actual quantity for material X is 160,000 units into the standard price, which is standard price, which is 60, minus actual price, which is 80. Then for Y, AQ for Y is 180 into the actual standard price. The standard price for Y is 50, then minus actual price for Y, which is 65. So what is the variance for X? What is the variance for X? Class participation, please. Very key.
It is 3.2
3.2
adverse.
3.2.
Adverse.
Adverse.
3.2. And it is adverse. I believe you know why I'm saying that it is adverse. Because you see the actual price is greater than the standard price. Then for Y,
2.7.
adverse.
2.7. And it is adverse. So when you add these two, your total material price variance is what?
5.9.
5.9. And it is adverse. It is adverse. So that is material, total material price, variance. So now I go to material usage. Material usage variance. Also, we are asked to compute for material usage. How do I compute material usage? MUV.
Standard quantity minus actual price into SP.
It is what?
Standard quantity actual price into SP.
Standard quantity for actual.
Yeah.
Actual output.
Minus actual price.
Minus, no, times Standard quantity for actual output.
Minus actual price.
Minus actual price. How do you get quantity minus price? Can you subtract the two? Can you get quantity? You subtract the price. Hey, talk, please. I'm waiting for you. How do you get the material usage?
You get the standard price into brackets. Standard price into brackets, standard quantity for the actual output minus the actual quantity.
Minus AQ.
Yes,
Then into
SP.
Into SP. There is one who was saying that you get the price minus quantity. So meaning that in this case, I will have two materials, X, then I have Y. So meaning that here for X, I think I determined this. For X, the standard is 80 times 2000. 80 units times 2000. Then minus actual quantity for X. Actual quantity for X is 160,000 units. Then you get your variance. Then for Y, for Y it is?
Excuse me, sir. You've not multiplied by standard price.
No, here this is quantity. All this, because I'm looking at usage. So there is no need to multiply. Okay, fine. You're right here. So the standard price is what?
60.
60. Okay. So that is done. Then another one for Y is one. Standard quantity is what? But the standard quantity actually is not 80,000, but is 80. 80 units. Then for Y, 120 times 2000.
Times 2000.
Then minus actual, which is 180.
Minus
10 times standard price, which is
50.
50.
50. 50.
Yes. So give me the for X here, the variance. And when you look at consumption, 80 times 2, that is 160,000. So here the variance, there is no variance.
I'm getting X as 0.
That means there is no variance. Then here, 120 times 2,000. So here you see it gives you 240,000, and then here you have 180. So mean that you had planned to use 240, but you used only 180,000. That means you used less. The consumption was less. That is favorable. So here it is
3 million.
3 million, and it is favorable. I think you all know why it is favorable, because you used less for material Y than what you had planned. So meaning that when you add your total MUV would be what?
$3 million.
Would be 3 million. 3 million. And it is favorable. Okay? 3 million favorable. Now remember what I told you. I said that the summation of these two, material price plus material usage, should give you material what? Cost. When you add usage plus price, you should have the material cost. If you don't get it, then that means that you've made an error maybe somewhere. So when I have 5.9 adverse plus 3 million favorable, I will end up with 2.9 adverse. Because this favorable, the usage, the favorable material usage variance will reduce the adverse material price variance, and you will remain with an adverse of 2.9 material cost. So lastly, what I wanted to measure, because these ones I had computed, I was just repeating, we had looked at them. So what I want to look at is material mix. Okay, the material mix variance, this one is what I wanted to measure. Material mix. So this is what I wanted. And we say that material mix is got by revised standard quantity minus actual quantity times standard price. And how do you get the revised standard quantity? You get the individual standard material quantity over the total standard quantity of all materials times actual input of materials. Just a moment. So now I was saying revised standard quantity is got by individual standard material quantity over total standard quantity of all materials times actual input of all materials. So if I look for the revised for X and Y, the RSQ, okay, for X. So what is the individual? The RSQ for X individual is what? The individual standard for X. I come here. For X, it is for X, I'm having 80 units over 200. So come here is have 80 units over 200. 80 divided by 200. And total actual input of raw materials. What is the total? Mm-hmm.
160.
No, total actual input. Is it 160? Because when you check here, the total actual input is 160 plus 184Y, giving you a total of 340 units. Total actual input of raw materials is 340. So you multiply this by 340. So what does it give me?
136.
So this one will give me, no, why this one? It will give me 136 units. This one will give me 136 units. That is the revised for X. RSQ for X. I also do for Y, the same procedure. I do for Y. What is the individual for Y?
120 divided by 200 times 340.
120 divided by 200 times 340. So what do you have?
204.
204,000.
So that is the RSQ for Y is you said it is what? 104.
2,400. 2,004,000.
204. Units. When I get 204 plus 136, do I get 340?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So having got to know that, then I can be able to compute my material mix, and my formula is here. What I only needed to find was the revised, which I've got. So meaning that if I come here, I get, I have X. So the revised for X is 136 minus actual quantity, which is actual quantity for X was how much? AQ 160. It was 160. Then I multiply this by the standard price. So what is the standard price?
60.
60. Standard price is 60. Okay. I also do the same for Y. Revise it is what? 204 minus actual. Was it 180? Was it 180 for Y?
Yes.
180.
Then times the actual price.
50.
Rather than the standard price 50. 50 is the standard because we're multiplying by the standard. So what variance do you get here for X, and then what do you get for Y?
So X is 1,440,000 adverse.
This is 1,040,000, and it is adverse. Then for this
1.2.
1.2.
Favorable.
So for this one is 1.2 million. And you said it is favorable.
Yes.
Favorable. Okay. So now when you add,
So, okay, that's it.
you add something.
No, it's okay.
Hmm?
It is okay.
So when you add the two, what is your material cost variance? Other material mix. MMA.
240.
Huh?
240.
440.
240.
240,000.
Adverse.
Adverse. Okay, so that is mix. Material mix. So what remains is material yield, variance, material yield, and of course, with material used, this one basically you're looking at the what are you getting out of the materials that you've basically used, and you're comparing with your plan. and what you've actually got. And for yield is given as actual yield minus standard yield, then times the standard price per unit of output. So if you find that the actual yield is more than the standard yield, then the material yield variance is favorable, and the reverse, of course, is true. If it is the other way around, then it is unfavorable. And for you to compute your yield, standard yield is got by 1 unit of output divided by the total standard material units times the actual input of raw materials. So using the example, I want you to go through this because the solution is there, and you see how the figures were arrived at, especially for yield in respect of each of the material, that is X and Y. So go through it, then I think we shall begin from there next time. That is Thursday from 4, and then we shall be beginning from labor. But please tell your colleagues if you don't attend, this one I must really tell you so that you know you don't attend the online sessions. I think the VC's memo was very clear that if you are unable to attend, then you can write official and withdraw. Because I don't want people who do not attend, then at the end, you find that they are struggling to submit other people's work, and then you want to do the exam when you've not been attending. That one I will not allow. In fact, let me take a record of attendance now. Because I can see I have 24 people on board now. Just don't let me stop sharing. So attendance is mandatory, it is not optional. That is if you are in for this semester. Don't allow people who are just now, you don't attend, then at the end you want to sit an exam. Okay, so I've taken note of those who have attended today. So I will be tallying every session. I will tally, and then I will see the number of times that you've attended the online session, and then you will determine whether you qualify to sit for an exam or you don't qualify. So if there is any other issue, I think we shall meet again next week. We shall be looking at labor variances. Once we finish labor, then we look at overheads. Once we finish overheads, we can look at revenue variances, and then we shall be concluding the topic. Okay? Otherwise, if there is no any other issue, I wish you a nice evening, unless you have something to raise.